Howdy fellow humans, we have a little project that we're going to work on today, and it's right here. This well pump, pitcher pump, is not working properly, and it hasn't been since it was installed, and we're going to dig into it and try to repair it. And I've never done this before, so let's do it. Since this was first put in, it hasn't worked right. There's nothing, that jams right here. But this down shaft, we're going to come down and look inside, and it was dark in there. Let me move the handle so you can see. That's right here. If you look down at the very, very bottom there, it actually comes up and loses, the rubber seal there loses contact, which means for whatever reason, this is too short. It should not let it go up that high. So let's see what we're going to do. We have this. This is this piece that we're just looking at in here, goes into there, and that is the bottom, and this shaft is longer. This is factory, so I don't know what the deal is with this, but it's not right. Maybe it was a factory defect that the installer got a good price on and put it in here or whatever, and just kind of, I don't know, but it's that's another story maybe. I've never done one of these. This piece right here comes up, so as you're actuating the pump, I guess it lets the water in here or something. This seals it, and something, I don't quite get it 100%. But that goes in there, and that's new seals. And this supposedly is the seal that is in the bottom. So we have to open this, back up a little bit. We have to open this to take the top out to replace this. And then this little flapper, my understanding is this flapper is down here in the bottom, and we may have to take these off to get to that. How rusty these bolts are, we'll see. But we're going to open this up and see if we can't get this thing working better. It didn't quite work out the way it's supposed to. May have problems with getting that bolt back together. It feels fused. But yeah, this is also these bolts need to be replaced. This looks like it might have been galvanized, but I mean, it's just, you're not getting good galvanized coatings here anyways. Let's come back around here. And this is another project for another day. I've got some video footage on that upgrade, but we'll see what it does. So let me put these tools down, see if I can get this to pull out. Harder to do with one hand. Okay, now we're looking in. And this, kind of see that better. I'll let this sit like here for a second. And this rod here is the problem we're seeing, but let's pull this off and take a look down inside. Looking down in, let's get the camera a second to focus. Let's see if it will. That circle down at the bottom, see if I can shed some light on it. There we go. That circle, supposedly this goes under that, and that seals off to keep water in this cylinder between uses, so that you don't have to keep priming and priming and priming. The other problem here is this comes down here and goes all the way down into the ground, and the person who dug this well and installed this pump didn't put, there's a foot valve at the bottom. It's called a foot valve. It's 5-6 inches tall. I might have video in it in this other project, but it basically, it works as it stops the water backflow type valve. So once you prime the water all the way up, when you're not using it, that water stays in the tube, and they saved $10 or ripped the person off for $10 by not putting it on there. So every time you've tried to use this pump, you have to prime the water, which is pulling the water all the way up from the ground all the way up the tube every time. So you have to pump, 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 pump. Even if you fill up a bucket or whatever, and then you come back to this a couple minutes later, you have to start the process all over again and pull that water all the way back up, because the installer basically ripped them off and left a $10 piece off the bottom to put it in their pocket. So we've already fixed that on another project, and now we're trying to get this pump working right, new seals, new everything, get it refurbished so it's working better. We're going to spray this, try to free up some of the rust on there before we attempt those, because we don't want to break, don't want those bolts to break. Then we'll come back to here, and this is the top. We're going to spray this as well. That's supposed to be penetrating oil, like PB Blaster in America or something, but it's different. We're going to let that sit a little bit because we don't want to break any of these bolts. Looks like we've got these working. I'm going to take both of these off. I'll almost turn my hand. Try not to lose them. I'm good at losing things. I don't want to. It's hard finding parts, bolts. This is so far from any sort of real civilization. It's hard to find parts for anything, so just be careful not to lose anything. This is not just pulling up, so we're going to tap that with a hammer. That has freed up. Let me pull this off. That doesn't look the same. This gasket here doesn't look the same. We don't want to break it. We're going to try to remove this slowly. That's this. But what they sold me, this is what they sold me. And as you can see, it's the wrong part. I mean, theoretically it covers that hole, but it's the wrong part. That's disappointing. I know what this looks like now. You just look at that corrosion in there. I know what this looks like now, so that I won't let them sell me the wrong part again. So if I can find one, we'll come back and we'll replace this. But this right here, when you pull up on the handle, it just opens, lets water in, and that closes, and that's supposed to seal so the water's not going back down. Kind of like a flapper in a toilet, if you're familiar with those. But we're gonna look for one of those, and once we find that, we'll open this whole thing back up and we'll start over. So let's just go on to the other seal. So there may also be other problems. Look at this, I put water into here, but you saw when I opened it up, there was no water in here. That was empty. And there are two valves in here. There's the foot valve at the bottom that should prevent water from going backwards, and there's another inline valve here that prevents water from going back down the tube. So there's two valves preventing water from going back, but this was still empty when we opened it. So both those valves, bought here locally, both those valves may be defective or not 100% water sealing. I don't know. Maybe they're not supposed to seal water 100%. Maybe they just make it go slower so it stays primed longer. I don't know. But I don't know. But I put some water in here. I'm just going to kind of watch it for a little bit and see how long it stays at that level. We're going to take this apart now, which is this bolt, and then this whole piece here that's threaded with a nut. This will come off, and then we can put the new one in. So let's take that off. And that penetrating oil we put in there has done its job. These are coming off easy. That's a good thing. And that comes out here. I don't know. I think there's enough. This slot will come out. This is out, and now we will unhook this. But before we do, hold on. Let's look at the two of these. You can see right here, you can see the height difference. This is a factory replacement. Look on here. That is stamped Eagle by the manufacturer of the pump. And this Has nothing written on it. Also look at the metal. Look how thick this is. Look how skinny, thin this is. So this was sold to the owner as a new pump by the local well installer here, and this is supposed to be brand new. And this is what came out of it. Supposedly a brand new unit. You can see this is not factory. It's some sort of off-market, generic, whatever. So essentially the person installer here ripped them off and sold them some sort of refurbished pump as new with junk parts in it. So we'll get this new one in here. Question I do have, because I am not an expert on any of these pump things, but this piece in the middle is free floating. It's right here. If you look into here, let me see if I can get my finger under here. This, when you're drawing and pumping, will open and close, but there's no actual seal in this. So this is not like an airtight valve of any sort, and I don't understand the full mechanism of that. I know when it goes up and down, this will open and let water in, but I would think that would have like some sort of rubber gasket in there to help make it airtight, but I guess not. I'm sure there's a reason for that. I just don't understand it. If you do, put it in the comments. Educate us all. Let's get this put back together. And this is a pretty easy mechanical unit. This just goes back into this hole, into here, and then that nut and bolt will go back through. Instead of setting the camera up, I'm just doing this freehand, so only have one hand to do it. But that's okay. This will go into here, and then let you guys push that down. Use the camera as a hammer, right? That's okay? Okay, that goes in. Bolt will go on the back. That'll get tightened down. And then we'll loosen these guys up, and this will go back in. Let's see. We forgot to put that piece on. See, that water level's gone down a little bit, so there is drawing. It is drawing back down. I'd like to know why, but I don't. So we may have to open this up again and put new valves down into there. We'll see how this does. But for now, since we don't have that bottom seal to replace, we are just going to put this all back together. And it's fairly simple. It's all nuts and bolts and just a couple seals, very basic. Didn't really intend this to be, this is more like what I'm doing as opposed to an instructional type thing. But I think this is simple enough that if you have one of these, this will give you an idea of what's inside and what's necessary to rebuild this. This is back on. This right here just goes in, it just drops in. And push, push, push. And then we've got to free these up. Now we've tightened these and everything is installed and put back together. We are going to put a little bit of water into the top just to prime it back up, but we're not trying to, we don't want to pump this dry on the new seals. And let's take a look at this real quick in here. This goes all the way up. You see now that valve doesn't lose its seal right down there. It doesn't lose its seal with the edge because this is proper length. It is now back in operation and pumping water. Test it out over time and see how that works while we continue to look for the right seal for the bottom. That's all, I think. Okay guys, so there we have it. The parts have been replaced. The person who installed the well and the well pump used a remanufactured pump with fake aftermarket parts in it, and it hasn't been a problem since the day it was installed. It's been a problem for the owners, and it is now fixed, but we're still going to look for that bottom seal. But it is fixed, it's working as it should, but it still should have that bottom seal replaced just so it's new. But that's all for today. Like and subscribe for more crazy stuff. See you later.